We're continuing on with our Back to School series, and this time we're taking a look at the local public elementary and middle schools in the Taconic and Green Regional School District. The district is part of the Bennington-Rutland Supervisory Union and operates schools in Sunderland, Manchester, Dorset, Danby, and the Floodbrook School in Londonderry, serving students in 9 towns altogether. To learn more about what's on tap this school year, we turn to School Superintendent Dr. Randi Lowe.
I think the biggest focus for us this year is really getting into in-depth curriculum implementation. So 2 years ago, we launched a new math curriculum called Reveal Math, and last year we launched an English language arts curriculum called Into Reading, which is for elementary, and Into Literature, which services we use that for our middle school students. We also started using inquiry journeys a couple years ago for social studies units with our students. And so that's a lot of new curriculum in a short period of time. We took advantage of federal funds to purchase curriculum, which I feel was a really good decision. Make sure we had solid evidence and research-based materials, the best we could get for our students, and using federal funds to pay for them. So that meant a lot of new curriculum in a short period of time, which is not necessarily what we would do in an ideal practice. So this year, the focus is on getting really deep, getting consistent, making sure we've got fidelity vertically, going grade level to grade level, and giving teachers an opportunity to connect and talk about curriculum in horizontal teams, which are, essentially all the third grade teachers getting together across our schools and being able to talk about curriculum, talk about resources, talk about assessment, talk about how they're planning their lessons, how do they get things in, whatever the questions are that they need to or would benefit from consulting with colleagues about, they have the opportunity to do. And our primary goal is by the end of this year, everyone is comfortable, has timing and pacing well, have an opportunity to grow and develop skills with the curriculum. So we're excited about it. We're not launching anything particularly new academically. Last year, we launched a model of school climate, culture, inclusivity called LIT, which stands for Love, Inclusion, and Trust. And so every school has a LIT team, and that's made up of students who really want to expand the ideas of belonging and love, inclusion, trust within our schools. And there are a couple of teachers, 1 to 2 teachers, who are really working with those students. So they host events, they do chalk the walk kinds of things. So that's an example where they go outside and they use chalk to write messages of affirmation and love and support. So when people come into school, they feel excited and warmed and cared for when they come in. They post signs about inclusivity. They learn about different, there's each month there's like a different theme or a different celebration of identity that students learn about and share within the school community. So those teams will be continuing to work over this year and do more work and really fuel that positive, loving, caring energy into our schools.
And are you seeing still any residue from the COVID pandemic years where students fell behind in their grade level? Is that still an issue that crops up from time to time amongst the educators? And if so, what might be done to kind of get kids back up to grade level?
So right now our performance is not any different really than where it was pre-pandemic. We've made some good progress. We've closed those gaps. We're still not seeing performance across the board the way we'd like, which is why we have the new curricular resources. We have a new assessment plan that we're putting in place this year so that we've got consistent assessment measures to test our kids and collect data to really understand them as learners that are consistent across all of our schools. We're developing those systems of support so if a student's struggling in the classroom, we have mechanisms and processes that ensure that they get the additional help and support that they need. We saw better, stronger growth in English language arts, particularly in those classrooms where the teachers were what I call early adopters. So these are the teachers who are like, yes, I've got this. I'm going to launch with this new curriculum. I'm all in. I'm committed to it. We saw student growth and performance at higher levels with more kids than we'd ever seen before. So there's really good indicators that the decisions we made around curriculum will have both short and long-term positive impacts on our kids.
One of the other issues that seemed to be kind of a hot topic in the school arena is smartphone use. I think we've talked about this before,
We have.
but I just wondered, are there any new rules or guidelines that you have in place for your elementary and middle school populations around that? I suppose this is really more of a upper school or high school kind of issue, I guess, but I'm just wondering if there's any new policy around restricting your use during the school day.
Sure. So great question. I think I'm sending a letter out to families this afternoon, and this is one of the topics that's discussed in that letter. We don't have anything that's new, but what we are really doing is trying to be more consistent in our application of the expectations that we've had actually for quite a few years. Prior to the pandemic, when my predecessor, Jackie Wilson, was superintendent, the principals and Ms. Wilson came up with a set of agreements around cell phone use. We implemented that just prior to the pandemic, not with fidelity, not with consistency. And then last year, we really came out strongly again saying, hey, we can see the impact of cell phones on our students' ability to attend in class. They are distracted. We only go through 8th grade. So to your point, we see the impact of social media, connection, texting, messaging on our students' ability to attend to what we're doing in school. So we don't want cell phones in our schools. You talk about it being something for older kids. I can tell you that there are young children who have phones. So we would like them to stay home whenever and wherever possible. They're not expected to be on a student's body. If they do bring it to school, then it should be in their locker and it should be on silent. If parents need to contact their children, they can call the office of their child's school, and then we'll make sure that we get messages to them. But we are going to try to keep them out of our classrooms and schools as much as possible right now. I know high school is a different type of situations, and every high school, I think, is trying to grapple with this in their own way. But we're K-8 system, and we don't really want them in our classrooms if we can avoid it.
I noticed that there's one school up in the Northeast Kingdom that's going to be opening in a tent or under tents this year because they found PCBs in the building or whatever. Is that whole PCB question and just sort of general infrastructure, is that something you're looking at across the 5 schools in the beer issue, or is that an issue for another day?
Oh, it's a big topic for sure for us right now, because particularly Taconic and Green is really looking at what do our facilities look like. We've been very open about the fact that we're looking at the Taconic and Green board is exploring the idea of a regional middle school. They realized, last fall that it was important to be looking at all of our facilities, that it didn't make sense to just look at the possibility of a middle school, whether that's a new construction or an addition or a reconfiguration of our current schools, without really understanding the viability and infrastructure of the remaining schools. So facilities reviews gave us lots of information about our buildings, and the board will be talking about that a lot in the coming months. So having said that, we've only had one school tested for PCBs, and that was Courier Memorial School. That they were tested 2 years ago, and there were no PCBs found. That was our oldest building. That was what the school that the state had identified was potentially most at risk for having PCBs, and there were none there. Manchester Elementary School, Sunderland Elementary School, and Dorset were all slated to be tested between January and March of 24. None of them have been tested. Floodbrook was scheduled to have been tested this summer, and they haven't been tested. So given what is happening at the state level with PCBs and the lack of funding, I'm not sure if they're going to test them or not. But at this point, we're looking at, we've got old buildings and they've got a lot of work, and we've got declining enrollment. And so we definitely have some important things to talk about as it relates to our buildings and the educational experience for our kids. Okay. I love the beginning of the school year. People who know me know that the first day of school is by far the best day of the year for me. I have the opportunity to go and visit all of our schools. I try to get into every classroom and say hello and good morning and welcome back. We have incredible teachers and staff and building administrators, and the energy this summer in preparing for the school year was palpable. I'm excited about the year, and I look forward to all the things that are going to happen in our schools this year. So welcome back, everybody.
Schools have already started, and the lesson plans are revving up. For the GNAT-TV News Project, I'm Andrew McKeever.